Welcome everybody to Catfish Weekly on with J.R. Cochran. I'm Lyle Stokes. And JR, we've got some great guests on tonight. We've been visiting with them for a while here, and it has absolutely been a hoot.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
We're going to talk about ladies in the sport and catfishing and boats and hooks and sinkers and all kinds of stuff. And it should be a great program, don't you think?
I think so.
We got Joelina and Kathryn and Danny, and they fish a lot of events down there. They're down in Mississippi. Got a big Sea Arc boat they fish out of. And, of course, the ladies fish the chick fight tournament, so that makes it a special deal for them. And, Danny, you're kind of like the guy that's on Fox and Friends in the mornings that I watch. They do a show, and one guy's outnumbered. That's where you fit right in the middle there.
I just stay on the front of the boat. All the world up front.
Well, you know what? It's a lot calmer back there. You don't have to mess with anything, and you just let them do whatever it is they do, and you just sit up there and catch your fish.
Every now and then they'll call me.
Sorry about that.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. We got a bunch in chat tonight. JR, what do you think about? You got any questions for these guys tonight?
I've got a couple lined up.
All righty.
I noticed you said before the show that you fish Granada Lake from time to time. Do you target catfish on Granada? I heard it was an excellent crappie lake. Is it a good catfish lake too? No?
Everything around us is terrible for catfish. We have to travel about 3 hours in any direction to catch a decent catfish.
Yeah. The 62-pound flathead that you caught, I noticed you caught, I think it was last year in a tournament. I'm assuming you won that tournament if it was a tournament.
It was a tournament. It was in the Sea Arc tournament. I did not win. I did play the tournament, but we did not win with that fish.
Yeah.
That's tough sledding down there, man.
Well, what did you catch that monster on?
Skipjack, dragon baits.
Dragon baits. Now, were you just trolling, or were you bumping, or?
We was dragging. Our technique called dragging. We was dragging baits behind the boat, just like you do planning boards.
Is there a lot of current?
It can be, but that day it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Okay. Well, when there is current, are you typically trolling with the current or against it?
We will go with the current and change our techniques into a bumping if there's a heavy current. We'll just go to walking baits down the back, out the back.
Okay. So is there a certain speed? Like if the current's too much, do you still go with it? Like if you're having to bump along, 2-3 mile per hour, are you still bumping, or do you decide to change it up and anchor during those conditions?
It doesn't matter to me if the current's 6 miles an hour. I'll try to cut it in half.
Wow.
I'm already cut it in half. I've caught fish at 4.5 miles an hour.
You guys are going to have to either move in a little closer or speak up. People are having a hard time hearing you.
Uh-oh. But,
there we go.
Just try to cut the current speed in half. It don't matter if it's a 2 mile an hour current, we're going to cut it down to 1. If it's a 6 mile an hour current, we'll cut it down to 3.
Now, how are you cutting the current down? Are you using a drift sock? Trolling motor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're drifting backwards with the current, walking our baits out the back of the boat. And
I got you.
The further out you can get it, the better it is for you. You're less likely to get hung if you're 300 feet out the back of the boat.
Yeah.
If you're real close, it's real easy to get hung up. I mean, it just seems like it sails a little better if it's way out there. You get that adjusted just right, it'll sail for you.
Now you're fishing out of a Sea Arc 240 with a Yamaha. What size Yamaha you got on there?
250 show.
Oh, wow. You got the super high output. They got the race motor on there.
Yeah. It's peppy, as the girls say.
Now, is it a side console boat, center console?
It's a dual windshield boat.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Pro Cat.
Oh, it's the Pro Cat 240. I got you. Yeah, I know they had the Pro Cat and the River Cat. I don't know. They got so many.
Yeah, it is. I can't even keep up with it. I got one.
So you're doing most of your fishing on the Mississippi River.
Most of it, yeah. We'll go to the Tennessee River in the wintertime when it's a little too violent over there. We're gonna fish the Tennessee River from about the end of this month, and then it'll be Mississippi River till November.
Okay.
Yeah, and then once it starts cooling down, the big blues up there on Wheeler go back to biting. We'll go back to Wheeler.
Okay. So you mainly targeting blues?
No, my favorite one to target is flatheads. That's what I grew up with at home. We have flatheads here. Here in our local rivers, we have blues, but they don't get very big down here for whatever reason. But
Okay.
Flatheads, they do. My dad caught an 80-pounder down here in a little creek that you could almost throw a rock across.
Wow. That's got to be close to a state record.
Yeah. The boy in the next town over here that got it.
So I know that Mississippi is the second largest river in the United States. That's a pretty big river.
Nice.
It gets up to 100 feet deep in some places. The places that you fish mostly, is it pretty deep or is it mainly shallow?
We fish a lot of 100+ deep water. Right?
Wow.
From Memphis down, I mean, it gets. I mean, 90 feet is really common. 110, I mean, it's no big deal. Just put a little bit heavier weight on.
Yeah. So how much weight do you typically put on there? Does it just vary?
Yeah, it varies from the current speed to, I mean, even bait size. But our most common weight size on the Mississippi would be about a 5 ounce.
About a 5 ounce?
Yep, 5 ounce. You let that baby get way back there and it'll sail for you. You can really walk it down the bottom.
What style sinkers do you typically use? A bank sinker?
Cannonball.
Cannonball.
Yep.
Okay. I've never tried a cannonball. I'm going to have to try those out.
Yeah, you love them. They fall straight. You can feel it. You can feel everything real good off that cannonball and stuff. Like a bank sinker, when it hits the bottom, it won't fall to the left, right, whatever. But that cannonball really round, so you feel it when it hits the bottom.
I imagine when someone that's never bumped before, when they first start bumping, let's say they're going 2 or 3 miles an hour, and as soon as that weight hits the bottom, you're probably going to be hitting rocks and everything else, and it's probably going to feel like they're getting a bite.
Yeah.
You probably kind of got to get accustomed to how that feels, because it when you're hitting the bottom at 3 mile an hour and it's rocks and it's a different type of terrain down there, it can definitely feel like you're getting a bite.
Yeah, the bimini top gives me a heart attack every time my rod touches it.
I bet.
Yeah, but it's fun.
Okay, Lyle.
Well, I want to say one thing. The cannonball weights give you a bigger footprint when it hits the bottom also. So you got more feel. And like I say, they don't turn over.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. And especially if you're in really heavy current and you're using 4, 5, 6, whatever.
I have one with 8s.
Yeah, I have 2 and bigger.
Yeah.
It just, we've been to Memphis a lot of times when it was 8, 9 mile an hour, just burning up. And the experienced guys can get away with less weight, but guys that's not done it much, you just keep adding it till you can feel the bottom and stay with it until you get better. The more you do it, the less weight is required.
Yeah.
So you ladies both bump proficiently?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I'm the trolling motor man.
Now I'm gonna tell you something. That's probably the most important job in the boat.
It is.
It takes somebody that really knows what they're doing to be able to control a boat floating backwards while trying to go upstream in a hot current river. It really
nothing's worse than being on the boat and it's time to fish and you look around and you realize nobody can run the trolling motor. Nothing feels better than knowing that there's a guy on the boat that you have confidence in that can run that trolling motor.
That's exactly right. 100%, man.
Yeah, you'd think that'd be the easiest job on the boat, but it's really not. That's the job that you don't want.
No, and you got to stay on the seam or on the current break or whatever the fish are relating to.
Where the concrete meets the bottom, usually. I mean, down that Mississippi River, it's rocks and everything down. The whole bank is just about lined in either concrete or riprap.
Yep.
So you find where that rock and that mud meets and walk your bait right down through there, you're about in the money.
That's right. Especially for some trees down there. If there's a line of them, you're going to get hung up, but you need to be right in the middle of them.
Yep.
You sure do. Yeah, I hate to tell you this, but if you guys could get a little bit closer to that microphone, it's going to help everybody hear you just a little bit.
Okay.
We may have to lean in and out when you're talking or something. Yeah, there you
Just
go.
yell. Just yell.
Oh man, I had a question in chat a while ago. A guy was wanting to know what kind of sinkers you all use when you're dragging baits.
I have a homemade sinker when I'm dragging. Mine are similar to the Larry Moose style dragging weight. It seems like the longer the weight is, the less likely you are to get hung. I don't like being hung when I'm dragging baits.
No.
But it seems that my weights when I'm dragging is probably 3 feet long, the weight itself.
Well, wow. So it's kind of like one of the dragon tail style. It's got the weight at the bottom of the tube with the air in the top or the foam or whatever.
That air will make it stand up and kind of crawl across logs, rocks, whatever.
Yep.
Versus a shorter, just drifting stick or whatever, them things seem to get tangled up.
I use what they call here milking hose because we're in a big agricultural area, and where I'm at specifically, there's a lot of milk cows and a lot of milking families. That anyhow, it's clear plastic hose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Just put a nail in the end of it.
Get down to where it's close to the bottom of that thing that it's all wrapped up on. It has a natural curve to it.
Yeah.
That never leaves unless you heat it.
Yeah.
Right.
That works really good for me.
Yeah, that curve
And
have to stand up and slide over logs.
exactly.
The
And
one-time memory is actually a good thing.
I agree. And like Danny was saying, Danny was saying that longer helps you get over structure, and it does. It not only helps you get over rocks and stuff, but root balls and tree limbs and all kinds of stuff. But you're still going to lose them once in a while. Yeah.
Yep.
You sure are. So, what's your lady's job on the boat when you're fishing?
That one puts them out, and this one reels them in.
All righty.
No.
We share the responsibilities. Like
They're both cutting baits. They're both putting it out. I mean,
somebody's hooked up with a fish, the other one's got the dip net, you know.
There you go.
If somebody's untangling the line and stuff out of the net, the other one's getting the fish off the hook.
Now I got
when we're dragging really, really far behind the boat. I mean, some of them are sometimes 600 feet out behind.
Oh,
the boat.
wow.
Yeah.
So if you hook a fish up on your 400, 500, or 600 foot rod, somebody's got to clear the shorter ones out of the way to be able to catch that fish. So other ones clearing rods.
Are you guys going to fish the chick fights event? Just the two of you this year, or are you going to have a guy?
Yes.
There you go. I think that I understand that some women on some areas, on some bodies of water, are not comfortable enough to do it. I got that, and you have to give them respect for being smart enough to know they have no business trying to run a boat on certain bodies of water. And I would say the Mississippi River could be that body for some women.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them out there.
No.
Exactly. I wouldn't, but Cindy can do all that. And it's glad to know that you guys can too, because let's face it, there's extra money in there. And if you take that check, you need to get that extra money. That's part of doing it.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to touch on that a minute ago. For a long time, I wasn't able to go fishing, due to responsibilities at home. I've only been fishing the past 2 years. And that past 2 years, thanks to the chick fight, we both of us can run the boat.
Yep.
We know how to put out gear. We know how to tie knots. We know how to, we know how to do it all.
That's awesome.
She backs the boat in every time we launch.
Really?
Yep.
That right there is
I
priceless.
can't back a trailer.
That's priceless. Cindy can do it, but if guys get to blowing their horn at her and stuff like that, I usually get involved because it gets her frustrated, and if she gets frustrated, somebody in me is going to have a problem real quick. I'm not going to tolerate that. I'm not. But we have a question in chat. Somebody wants to know what kind of line you guys use for back bottom bouncing.
50 braid Power Pro.
50-pound Power Pro. I like that stuff. There was another one in here.
I imagine braid would be the go-to when it comes to bouncing.
Yeah, it's just the volume, and it's really thin. You don't get the vibration of the water, of the current. If you got a big line out there with that weight on it, you can feel a vibration in it. If you can feel it,
Yep.
you can feel it. So just
Stiff rods, like graphite rods.
Yeah, we use B&M bumping rods.
Yeah.
B&M. Well, B&M can make some good rods.
We're right here in their hometown.
Yeah, they make
Awesome.
they sell them here.
I use their crappy rods. I love they do make some good quality stuff.
I guess we're kind of spoiled because we literally can just walk into the warehouse and buy what we need.
Yeah.
That would be
Awesome.
spoiled. That would be spoiled.
Yeah, I wish we had that around here.
Kevin with Palmetto Cats wants to know who has the biggest fish.
Between the girls,
He just said who has the biggest fish.
that would be me, 103.
That's a
Oh my
giant.
God.
That's a giant. You girls got to get busy.
Oh,
we're
we're trying.
77 and 49, I think.
Both great fish.
I got one of you beat at least.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
It took a long time, like it was 2012. It was in April of 2012 when I caught that 103. I'm about to do another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah, there's like a statute of limitations. Like once 10 years goes by, then you can't even count that anymore.
Right.
And I'm breaking 50 this year.
I hope she breaks 50 this weekend.
That'd be nice.
Smoking Big Flatties would like to know if you've used the 7'6" B&M rod. He's using an older one. If that's I understand his question right.
Yes.
If B&M has the rod, I have it. I mean, and I fish with all of them every time I go. Just about it. They have the Silver Cat, which is my favorite anchor rod. I like it for dragging. It's got just a little bit softer tip. I seem to catch more fish on the Elite dragging.
And then if you're feeling spunky, you can use the 10-foot rod and run planer boards.
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all use those Bears planer boards, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will.
Are they what type of planer board are they? Are they clear plexiglass like they're coming out with now? Aluminum, plastic?
Does yours look like these?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And I will say, now,
They're awesome.
yeah, they are. We've had two different brands. I won't say what other brand that I had, but Bears is definitely better. It's got better flips, and the profile in the water is higher, so you can see it a little further out.
And they take waves real well when you're dragging.
I understand they jump out to the side of the boat. I haven't used mine yet because I had a deal with another company, and that's now gone. So I'll be using Denny's boards. Thank the world of Denny. He's a great guy, does good things for the sport, and he doesn't let. What's that?
They clip on well.
That's great because all I need the clip to do is bounce off when the fish goes.
Yep.
I don't want it sticking out in the water. The thing about Denny is he don't get buffaloed by a bunch of wannabes in the sport. He's a man's man, and just because he's in business, he don't let people blackmail him, and I like that.
Right.
We got several in chat tonight, JR. I'm not seeing any more questions, but I'm sure
I got a question for you.
All right.
Well, so you primarily fish the Mississippi River. So you've mentioned fishing Wheeler, and I noticed Joelina caught a pretty nice flathead back in April on Wheeler.
Yeah.
When you fish a reservoir like that versus fishing the river, I'm sure you have to change up your tactics, or do you?
Yeah. I mean, Wheeler right now, no heavier current than what it is. We're dragging baits. She caught that flathead on what you call a flapper bait, which is just take a skipjack, lay him down, fillet the bone out, and then use a double hook, one through the head, one through the mid body.
Stinger.
Yeah, them flatheads really love that flapper bait.
So I imagine when you're fishing a lake like that, there's probably not a lot of current, and you're probably trolling along probably less than 1 mile an hour, I'm assuming.
Anywhere from 0.2 to 0.6.
Okay, it's nice and slow.
Yep. Just dragging that bait along through there. which we look for wood, contours. I mean, we're not just out in the middle of the lake dragging around for no reason. We try to find a ledge. Some
Do you ever anchor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If you're fishing here in our home water, you better be on an anchor. And somebody throw a fish at you.
Anchor fishing is probably my favorite way to fish.
Yeah.
Me too. It's the most relaxing by far.
Yeah.
That it is.
I think that's how everybody started, you know.
Yes.
And another thing is, I think most of us, maybe not all of us, and you ladies probably didn't, but most guys started out going fishing with their brother, their dad, their uncle, their grandpa, running trot lines and jug lines and stuff like that, because it kept you interested in doing that, because you was constantly finding fish. And the next thing you know, you decided that's not how you wanted to catch fish. You wanted to catch them on a rod and reel because the fight was there.
Right.
Right.
And that's when a lot of us started talking about conservation, saving fish, and why we should use selective harvest and keeping fish.
My favorite technique of fishing is actually suspend fishing.
Absolutely.
I love it. I mean, you have that bait only 20 foot under you, and that fish hits it at 20 foot. Boy, he's excited at that.
I agree. I
Yeah,
probably
he
have the
broke
least luck
someplace.
doing that, but that's one of my favorite ways as well. But I don't tend to have a lot of success doing it, but I do love doing it.
Yeah. I like to do it and watch the one that's right next to the depth finder and count him down. Here he comes.
Yes, sir.
I like watching them come up and grab that bait. I really do.
He comes up, looks at it, and leaves.
That's a little disheartening, but it does happen.
Yep.
I actually like bumping better because I've always been like growing up and, you know, way back in the day, I've liked having that rod in my hand where I can feel a bite if I get one rather than watch the tip of a rod. So bumping, you have that rod in your hand and you feel that fish take that and that rod bends, that is the best in what is.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you two girls a question about bumping.
Okay.
All right.
When you're bumping and you get a bite, does it feel like the fish is trying to take the rod away from you and you're trying to keep him from getting it?
No.
That's what it feels like to me. They're trying to take it away from me, and I'm trying to keep him from getting it. You know, because on that big water and that current, it's a pretty good fight usually.
It's a hell of a fight. I mean,
Yeah. Even the little, I call them little 10, 12 pounders.
Right.
When you're in hot current like that, that's a great fight.
Yep.
Anybody that doesn't like that, they got a problem, you know.
Yep. And if you're not used to fishing current and you get that little 10 or 12 pounder on there, you think he's a 50 or a 60.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're like,
Oh,
oh my
yeah.
God, grab the net. This could be a record.
That's right. And it feels like it. And you get him up to the boat and he's about this long. You think, man, how long's it been since I caught a good fish? Because I can't remember what it feels like.
Yeah.
Cut the trolling motor off and let the boat, drift to him.
Now, you touched something that reminds me, Cindy's always on me, because what happens is if she gets a fish, I got to get the net, which is usually up in the front of the boat, and do all kinds of other stuff, and I forget to stop the trolling motor
Right.
and let it float with the fish or lock it down. And she's yelling at me, and I don't know what she's saying. She's looking back towards the back of the boat, talking that way, and I'm up here going the other way, and she's screaming at me, "Shut the damn trolling motor off!"
It's booming.
Happens almost every time.
That's funny.
I had someone in chat wanted to know what kind of fishing reels you guys use.
Oh, my favorite's a Abu 6500.
There you go, baby.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
That's my favorite too.
Me too.
My favorite was actually the 6000, which they don't make anymore.
No.
Yeah. I like the 6000s too. I kind of, those bushings over bearings, actually. I kind of, they definitely have their pros.
Yeah, we've been buying some of the older ones and having pipeline. They'll go through them and redo them, man. It's just like a brand new reel. Better.
Heck yeah.
I tell you what,
I like pipeline tackle.
Yeah, awesome guy.
I've seen some of the some of the reels that they've reconditioned. It seems like they just You can spin them and they'll just turn forever. Pretty impressive.
It's impressive.
And a couple of really nice guys.
They
Yes,
are
they
super
You know.
nice.
Couldn't beat it.
We went out last week or week before that and caught a 70-pounder up there on Wheeler for me and the pipeline guys.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah, they are. I met them at the last chick fight down at Wheeler. I met them down there, visited with them for quite a while. Haven't had anything. In fact, I got a gift certificate to have stuff done for them from them.
Use it, man. They're top notch.
I mean, even if you just send your reels in and get a good cleaning, it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And people that think that they can, a lot of people do them themselves, and that's fine.
Okay.
But every time I do, I end up with spare parts.
Yeah, I don't even touch mine anymore.
Yeah, I end up with spare parts, so I just don't mess with them no more.
It's kind of like changing the oil in your car.
Right.
When you're a kid, it's fun. As you get older, you're like, yeah, okay, I know it's easy, and I know you can save money, and I know all that, but I just soon pay somebody.
That's a great analogy because, man, I'm telling you what, it's like mowing the grass. When I was a kid, I done that to make money. Now I hate to get on a riding lawnmower.
Mm-hmm.
We're out on the river. We need hooks, weights, whatever. I can make a phone call and they'll bring it to the boat ramp. I mean,
Man, that's awesome.
Yep.
It's not a problem.
Talk a little bit about, we mentioned reels. What about terminal tackle, swivels, hooks? What size leader line you use?
Usually a 50-pound leader line also.
Me too.
Well, it just depends on what you're doing. If you're bumping, we're using a 40 or 50-pound leader line.
Mhm.
Dragging baits, I run it through a peg float or something. I try to go up to an 80-pound.
Right. Okay.
Then using 65-pound main line on
Okay.
dragging. I mean, it's two different animals.
Right.
Dragging, I use an 80-pound leader, 65-pound test main line. Bumping.
What size hooks?
8s to 10s.
Okay.
Fish, hookers, terminal tackle, they got some good stuff.
Unless we're at home, and then you have to use a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Palmetto Cat said, present company excluded. If they could pick one person to fish with, who would it be?
Oh.
I have two. I can't decide between. One is Bill Dance. Bill Dance has always been on my bucket list, but I would love to go fish for Wells Catfish, Jeremy Wade.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I
love some Jeremy Wade.
Yeah.
River Monsters, baby.
Yes.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
I like
Yeah.
those Massengale brothers on the Mississippi River and see what they know. The Massengale brothers rock.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check them out. I don't know them.
You too.
Yeah.
Oh, they're top 2 or 3 teams in the United States,
Yep.
tournament teams. And they catch fish any place you put them. I got a very good education with them. Cindy and I got to spend a day in a boat with Jeff Dodd a few years ago. Jeff and them are really good friends. And he told me
I know Jeff.
told me so many stories about them two boys. I feel like they're brothers. You know, and that was my dream day.
Right.
They can fish that Mississippi River like nobody else. I would
Oh yeah,
get in the boat with them and just
they're
right.
awesome.
Jeff puts on a heck of a seminar at the
Yes, he
Catfish
does.
conferences.
He does. What kind of reels do you use? Did we go over that?
Yes.
Sir.
Okay.
Ambassador 6500s, baby.
Here's the next question I had for you.
And 6000s.
Big Nasty wants to know if you use braid or mono. Well, I know you're using braid if you're back bottom bouncing, but do you use mono when you're anchored or anything like that?
Yeah, we do use some of the slime line.
Okay.
40-pound test.
40.
For our night, we have reels for night. It's got the slime line.
Now you mentioned those B&M rods. I think you said the Silver Cat. That's the ones with the paracord handles, right?
They have them in that, yes, and they have them in cork handle.
Okay. Okay. Do y'all use any other kind of rods?
No,
No.
no.
Okay. Okay.
You know, it seems like when a person or a group or a team, I should say, finds something, whether it be rods or reels or hooks that they really like, it takes a special event for them to switch.
Yes.
Even if the price goes up or they quit making them. They'll buy up all of the ones they can find because usually they like them that well. And it doesn't matter what brand it is. Has anybody noticed that besides me?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
That's
my
right.
friend did the exact thing with what are those orange rods, the Chad Ferguson rods?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whisker
Seekers. Yeah. He bought the graphite reel seat ones, and then they were going to discontinue them. So he was at a conference year before last, and he bought up every one they had left because he knew they were discontinuing them because they went to the aluminum reel seat, and he liked those graphite reel seat.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. Being 5'4", all of 5'4", it takes a good catfish rod to find one that's balanced to where you're comfortable casting it and dealing with it and handling it. And the B&M rods are.
The B&M rods do it.
Yep.
Like Matthew Miles, the catfish clothing guy, he loves the B&Ms.
The bumping rods, the silver cats, whatever. I mean, it's comfortable.
Awesome.
That's one of the things about building rods all the years that I did. You can make them rear grips any length you want, or the front ones any length you want. So if a woman is short stature, you can make her have a 12 or 13-inch rear grip and a 6-inch front grip or 3-inch front grip, however they want it. And if they don't like it, they send it back. You can change it.
Right.
You know, and production companies have done a great job in finding the happy medium for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and I have a standard that we measure and use. But if somebody says, you know, I got great big hands, that 5-inch front grip's not going to do it. Can you make it 6 or 7? Then I have the ability to do that. Or if they say, I'm Jason Mathena, I'm 6'5", and at the time weighed 375 pounds. I need that back grip to be 16 inches. Can you do that? And I could do that. But a lot of people, you know, that's the difference. But I've said this a lot of times. In the last 30 years, I have seen the production quality on production rods come up so great, with the exception of a few. There's a few out that is never going to make it, but never going to get any better. I'm not going to say they won't make it. They're not going to get any better. But the mainstream line rods, the ones that everybody wants, the quality has come up tremendously.
Right, it's not just rods; it's everything.
It's everything. Yeah.
This is something I've been doing for 30 plus years.
Yep.
I've seen this catfishing grow in the last 10 years. It's just unbelievable. I never dreamed it would have got to where it is now.
I know.
No, I would have.
Unrecognizable.
I would have never thought I would ever see the type of payouts and tournaments that we're seeing. And when we started out, the biggest tournament you seen when I started fishing tournaments and catfishing was a jackpot tournament where everybody put $20 in a fruit jar. The winner took all. That was a big tournament if you got $200 or $300.
Right.
And then U.S. Cats come on, and we fished U.S. Cat tournaments as however far you could afford to drive to go to one.
Right.
And you know, they got offline with some things, and now it's really growing. And some of the stuff I agree with, a lot of it I don't. But you know, it is what it is. It is benefiting. It is benefiting tournament catfishing.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we can keep online with the conservation, we'll be great.
Yes.
Amen.
I've seen several states change in the last couple of years, and it's awesome.
Yep, I'm glad to see it. You're 100% correct with that.
We're going in the right direction. If you look 20 years ago, everybody kept fish. I mean, even the biggest CPR guys in the world kept everything.
Even
we all did. That's just the way things work.
You took your fish, you cleaned them, you took them home. I can remember
the way it was.
That's just the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever thought that there would be an end to the catfish. But when I started, nobody knew that you could catch giant blues and flatheads consistently either.
Right.
They knew you could catch them, but they didn't know you could catch them consistently. And as soon as that was figured out, it come on. Now, the thing that worries me now, and you guys can give me your input on this, is bait. Are we seeing too much bait taken out of the water, or is there plenty of bait left? Is it just me that it's hard to get for? Now I can get shad all I want, but of course I haven't been on a skipjack trip for years simply because I would rather pay a guy to catch it for me and I get to spend more time pre-fishing.
Right.
That's an excellent question, Lyle. I've often wondered that. You don't really hear anyone really address that.
It's still conservation.
We usually catch ours up until this year. We've been buying it just because we haven't been able to catch one. I mean, the bait guys stand up there on the bank and catch them, but we're 3 hours away. We don't have the time to spend half a day catching bait. I mean, we're just 50, 60 bucks and going back to the way.
And Danny, I've been to tournaments where we could go to the closest dam down there and have all the fish you needed for pre-fishing and fishing a tournament in 3 hours.
Yep.
And you could go to the next tournament and you couldn't buy a skipjack for nothing.
Right.
Just can't get them.
Selling bait seems like that's a good business to get into. We spent like $220 on bait this past weekend.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
There seems to be more people getting into it as well.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's bad because it's very helpful for you guys when you go to a tournament. It's extremely helpful for me because we're so far away from anything. You know, 6, 8, 10 hours for us for a lot of tournaments, the baiters, and a lot of them are further than that. And I don't have time to go down there and spend 2 or 3 days chasing bait where I can get a hold of a bait guy and say, I need this many. I don't care if they're frozen or fresh, but the day of the tournament, if you got them, I'd like to have fresh. But if not, I got to be guaranteed that I'm going to have my bait.
Right.
And most of them can do that unless there's times when bait's really hard for all of them.
Right.
Yes.
And them days are just tough. And as long
And
as
it's usually a certain type of bait. They'll usually have one kind. Like around here, they typically have herring, but gizzard shad is kind of hard to get sometimes.
Well,
Yeah.
If we can't catch bait, that means the fish are on fire.
That's right, because everybody on got them.
Yeah, everybody already got them. You can't get a bite.
So I'm guessing skipjack are your main go-to.
That's our main go-to. Live shads also. When we're anchor fishing, targeting flatheads, we use live shad, live brim.
I like shad in the winter, skipjack in the summer, unless I can get moon eye, and I'll throw the rest of it away if I can get me some moon eye.
Yeah.
Really?
Moon eye is, as far as I'm concerned, and I'll probably get tons of bad people yelling at me, but if I can get them, nothing else is even close.
I went to Tennessee River back in September last year, and we netted boatloads of bait. I mean, we had a couple 75-gallon shad shacks filled up, 100-gallon, and out of all that bait we caught, those hundreds of dozens of bait, one moon eye.
Yeah.
I've never seen one.
I haven't either.
Oh, if there ever really was a catfish candy bait, moon eye is it. They're a little tough to get. They're fun to go after because you can either catch them or you can net them. There's several ways to get them. But if nothing else will catch a catfish, moon eye will catch them. And they don't get gigantic.
I mean, it has moon in the name. It's got to be good bait.
Yeah, it's like a moon pie, right?
Yeah. Moon and lunar phases in fishing, you know, it's like the almanac of baits.
That's right. I love them. They're my favorite. And like I say, they're hard to get. Sometimes you can get them and sometimes you can't. But the end result is if I can get them, I'm using them. And the hotter the weather is, I know you guys have got Asian carp down there. Do you use those at all?
Summertime. They're good.
Yeah.
Hot carp bait. Hot
Now, for me, again, that's one of the baits that the hotter the water is and the weather is, the better they work.
Yep.
Is that how it works for you?
100%.
Yeah. And to me, in my opinion, that's the toughest bait for a fish to steal.
Yeah, you don't need but one piece fish all day.
All day. Because the skin's so tough on them, you got to cut it off. It ain't coming off your hook.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's a little bitty or great big.
Yes,
Yeah, one of the pros is that is when you're anchor fishing, you can really whip cast that. You ain't got to worry about it coming off.
No, you're not going to throw it off, or I never have. But we keep a pair of those old skinning pliers in the boat just to pull that off of a hook. And I've actually bent hooks.
Wow.
That is the toughest skin on anything that swims in the water I've ever seen. So they work, and it works. It works. My brother and I used to go out, and we knew where they was at, and we'd clean everything out of the boat. I had a flat bottom John boat at the time, and we'd go behind islands and wing dikes, and we'd catch them, clean them, put what we wanted off of them in a bag, ziplock it up, put it on ice, and we'd do that until we had enough bait that we didn't need none for a month.
Wow.
And then take it to the car wash and hose it down. We do that a couple times a year. If you guys got any more questions for these folks, you better be getting them out. We're running close on time.
I can see y'all throw big baits.
Big.
I've looked at some of your pictures, and I've been kind of spying at the background, and you can see some of the cut bait in the background. And yeah, y'all ain't playing around. Y'all throwing missiles. The Scud missiles right there.
They are. They are. Do you thaw your skips out if you get them froze? Do you thaw them all the way out, or do you throw them out frozen?
I like to use a skipjack sickle. We're about halfway frozen when we
Yep.
start.
Yep. It's like a popsicle.
Yep.
Yeah. I understand.
It takes long to thaw out in that warmer water.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, as soon as it hits that water, it's going to fall out. And as soon as it does, the blood and stuff starts oozing out anyhow.
It leaves a nice trail.
What was that, hon?
It leaves a nice trail.
It does. It absolutely does. I agree 100%. I used to try to thaw them all out. It seemed like they would get soft. But if you thaw them out on the hook, you ain't got to worry about that.
Absolutely.
One of them dinks will knock it off anyway.
What reel do you use for the one they put out 500 feet? Still 6,500, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
We got some Akumas we've used.
yeah, we use
Oh,
that.
you got the Makuma too? Okay.
But that braid's so small, you can put a lot of braid on one. I think.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Still put 1,100 feet on one.
Patriot James wants to give away a set of Patriot catfishing floats.
Cool.
Let me get this all gathered up. JR, if you will ask to take care of things so I get everybody loaded up here.
Okay.
It's going to take me a second. I wasn't prepared for him.
I'm glad to see you chicks in the catfishing industry. We
Absolutely.
need more like you. I mean, it's no, I don't mean any disrespect, but it's kind of this eye candy when you're scrolling down through there and you're seeing all these fat bearded guys, and then all of a sudden there's this nice little lady holding a catfish. You know, it's a good sight.
Who you call
Yes,
the
I
fat
like-
bearded guy?
I'm not going to name any names. Junior Proctor, Larry Muse, Dodd. I mean, the list just keeps going. You know,
I understand.
it's
I
nice
thought
seeing
it was
these
loaded up.
ladies
Yeah, you'd really be
getting in the
surprised.
sport.
There's a vast amount of women that love fishing. Kathryn and myself are both members of groups, and one group has nearly 25,000 members. So women do it. They just not all.
I've noticed women are a little more camera shy than men. You know, they don't really,
do it.
they don't want to be on the camera as much as men do for whatever reason.
For getting people on our show, I get turned down more by ladies than I do for guys.
Yeah.
But they was wanting to do it, and I wasn't.
Well,
You
you
know
guys are
what?
an anomaly.
I think having a husband-wife team is one of my favorite, but you having two women on a team where you guys fish together, that's awesome because rarely we see that. A lot of times you'll see a woman and two guys, but you see a couple of gals and a guy once in a while, but it's not as much as you'll see two guys and a woman.
I'm in a no-win situation. I work with one, Catherine here. I live with the other one.
Well,
It's a good thing he likes to catfish. I'll just say that.
It is a
It's-
really good thing.
it sure is. Well, that's awesome. Well, listen, I've got everything loaded up on here. Catherine, pick me out a number between 1 and 5.
3.
1, 2.
No, she said 3. Okay. I thought you were repeating what she said.
And
No.
the winner is Jonathan Legg, Legg. Jonathan, if you will contact Patriot Catfishers of America and tell that gentleman that you won some floats off of Catfish Weekly, he will hook you right up and get them right out. Thank you so much for watching the show. And James, thank you for donating them to give away tonight. We appreciate it, and I know Mr. Legg will like that. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, you got to bring them up down to Mississippi and use them with us now.
Heck yeah. They'll work on the Mississippi. I noticed today, JR, that James has got some new colors coming out, so he's going to town with them things. I'm so happy for him, and he does a great job and making a really fine product that a lot of people in the sport will be able to use.
Amen.
Yep. So that's awesome.
Yeah, he's having a tough time keeping up, but I think it's a good problem to have. I think he enjoys it.
Yep. James says he met Joelina at the Catfish Conference.
Okay.
We didn't go to the Catfish Conference.
We didn't go. No.
We wanted to, but we were
Wrong
not-
person, James.
Yep.
Sorry, James.
Maybe he meant to say he wished he'd have met you at the Catfish Conference.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah, because I don't think he went either. I
Yeah.
think something happened. His
I
wife
thought he
was
said he
sick or
went.
something.
No.
I don't know, but we didn't go this year either.
I talked to James a little bit through Facebook.
He's a hoot, man. He's a hoot. He's got a great show on Wednesday nights, and Kevin with Palmetto Cats is on Fridays. Avid Catfisherman is on Friday nights. It's hard for me to remember all of them. I think Chris Souders is on Tuesday nights. Is that right?
I think so.
There's so many I can't keep up with them anymore. But I actually, I'm going to tell you guys, you all already know, but Terry and Diane Stone will be our guests next week. And I'm excited about that because I know them for a long time. They're super nice people. And Diane and I kind of gouge each other a little bit. She's just so much fun. But I really been working for a while on getting another lady friend that you all are very aware of on the show tonight. She's watching tonight, so I hope she understands how much fun we could have for her husband to come on the show with us and do a show. We'd have a blast because that's what we do this for, is entertainment.
Yes.
Let's face it, we could be watching Monday Night Football.
No.
Yeah, I know. Well, I promise you, if the St. Louis Cardinals baseball game was on, that big screen would have them on there while we're doing the show. But they're not playing, and I don't get to watch them. John, Cindy is in the other room. She can be on anytime she wants to, but she's been doing some stuff in the other room throughout the time since JR has been in here, and she's getting ready to go take care of her sister. Her sister's getting ready to have a hip replacement, so she'll be doing that. Yes, Terry, we will have fun, I promise. It'll be a blast. And then the week after that, we're going to have the guy, Greg Olala, is going to be on with us to talk about Navionics stuff. So that will be really fun and knowledgeable. Now, speaking of that, do you all have a navigational charting thing that you use in specific?
Yes. Yep. We do Navionics simply because we had both. But we use Navionics because it shows the rock dikes on the Mississippi River, whereas Lake Master does not. And that's a pretty important thing to have.
Yep. Okay. I've got both. I have Navionics and Lake Master. And yes, Kevin, I will be on Palmetto Cats Sunday night at 8 Eastern to help them guys out. But yeah, I like the Lake Master chip. I have one laying right here. It does things that the Navionics doesn't do, but the Navionics does things that Lake Master don't do. So if your unit is equipped to run both, I highly recommend that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, that's 15 to do it.
I like a lot of the stuff, so that both of them.
Low Rats is more Navionics, right? And
I've used
Or
my Navionics chip in Doc's Lawrence when we was in his boat on the Mississippi River, and I used the same chip on my Humminbird.
really?
Yep.
Okay.
Now it's the big one. But yeah,
SD card.
I've used it. It has a center that comes out that you can put in a new one, so I don't guess it makes any difference. But yeah, I've used them on Lowrance and Humminbird both with no ill issues of either one. Now I haven't tried the Lake Master on anything but a Humminbird, but Ken Pryor is the guy I got it from, and I am positive that he had this in a Lowrance. I just know he's got a Lowrance, and but it works perfect in my Humminbird.
I've always
Okay.
been a Humminbird guy.
Yeah,
Really?
me too. Even back before they had these good ones, when they just had,
Yeah.
I remember Doc and I used to talk about this. We both had the little dial looking things at Flasher.
Yeah, flasher.
I remember when them come out.
I still have one of those.
Do you really?
I do.
Wow. I used to have mine mounted on a board. You take it in and out of the boat so nobody steal it.
Us
Yeah,
Mississippi
there you go.
people have to have tech support now for depth.
Yep.
Oh man. Oh, you seen any more questions in there?
I have a question for you, Lyle. Are you going to MC the Mississippi River Monsters tournament if they have it?
I don't think so.
No.
No. It's not that I wouldn't, but I haven't talked to any of them guys, so I just don't think that I will. That was probably the most entertaining thing that I've ever done in the sport, and it was easy for me because nearly everybody that come through there I knew.
Yes.
And that was a lot of fun. It was the first time that we'd ever been down there that we didn't fish. And I did have a couple of guys that got a hold of me that was going to bump, and they didn't know how to bump. And I went out with them one morning early before the tournament and spent a few hours in the boat showing them how to do it, and told them, I said, if you don't trust this and you're in a tournament of this magnitude, you need to do what you know to do. And they had made up their mind they was bumping. So I showed them how to bump. We spent a few hours in the boat. And I think they both had one on and lost it. I know one guy for sure had on because he was standing beside me. And we had a blast doing that. I enjoyed doing it because nobody would tell them. I mean, everybody's getting ready for one of the biggest tournaments in the nation. They're not going to tell them how to catch fish. And they was friends of mine, people that we see at these big events. So I went out and helped them with them. And they didn't do any good, but it is what it is. I done my part, and I would have done that if it had been you guys or JR or anybody else. It doesn't make any difference to me. I want to see people succeed in the sport, and that we done our best. But they should have went to anchor fishing or drift fishing, or in my opinion. But they wanted to bump, and they bumped, and but people was telling them wrong stuff. Well, like I say, you're in one of the biggest tournaments of the year. How many people are going to tell you the right stuff if they think you got a chance of beating them?
Mm-hmm.
So, but we had a blast. David Funk. David is one of you guys sponsors. Is that correct?
We're sponsored by King. Yeah,
King Kraken. Yeah, he wants to give away a King Kraken face mask and decals. Isn't in chat, and Lisa, MRM's is one of the closer places we go. It's only about 6 or 7 hours for us. Let me get loaded back up, JR.
Okay. Have you guys thought about making a YouTube channel?
No.
No? You ought to.
I have to tell you this. This is hilarious. Lyle sent me a message to be on tonight, and I actually sent him a message back and asked him if he sent it to the right person.
She did. She did.
I tell you what, it would be some great content. I know I would tune in.
Absolutely.
And if I had thought this through a little bit better, my neighbor actually does YouTube content creation for a living, and he has a studio in his house.
Oh,
But
okay.
instead, we're in my husband's office.
Well, that's okay. It seems to be working out okay. The only thing that had we had known that you guys are going to have to be rubbing shoulders in there, I'd ask you to get a external mic, and it would have made a difference. But I didn't know, But it's working out.
Yeah.
Like I say,
Well,
Danny works with one. He's married to the other. It can't be all that bad. All right, I'm all loaded up. Joelina, give me a number between 1 and 5.
2.
1, 2. And the winner is Smoking Big Flatties.
Oh, nice name.
Smoking Big
I know.
Flatties.
That is the cool name.
That is a cool name. If you will contact, give me his name. I done forgot his name.
David Funk.
David Funk on Facebook, and tell him you won the prizes on Catfish Weekly that King Kraken is giving away. He will hook you up with those. And if you have any issues, just message me, and I'll put you guys together.
That's awesome.
But thank you so much, David, for the prizes. We appreciate it. And Smoking Big Flatties, thanks for watching Catfish Weekly. I see you in here all the time. Yes, you are. You're on a roll, buddy.
Yeah, I think he won something last week, didn't he?
He
Or
probably
the week
did.
before?
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Everybody likes to win, and sometimes you can do that, and sometimes you can't. But we're very happy with all of the coronavirus and sickness and all the stuff that's going on, that people still watch the show and people are donating prizes and stuff, because we had some new sponsors that come on and they had to quit because they don't know what's going to take place. And I completely understand it. And I know, Joelina, you work in the medical industry. Is that correct?
I do. I work at a doctor's office.
So you see this firsthand, and you know what's going on, and all these people that watch the shows, and not just our show, but all the rest of them. We all appreciate it because you guys could. I'm glad to see that all the shows coming out, because everybody doesn't get out to go fishing, and some people are afraid to, and others don't want to. And these shows keep everybody up to speed on what's going on and new equipment that's coming out and this and that. And I think it's a good thing. What do you think, JR?
I think it's a great thing. Yeah, if you guys ever want to give away like a live scope or any of those 3D sonars,
You're in
be
for
glad
it.
to take it.
Jonathan Legg says, "Tell Danny Boy and Joe that I'm coming in a couple of weeks."
Hey, bring it on. Come on down. It's
Heck
been a
yeah.
while.
Man, it sounds like you guys know that winner.
Oh, yeah.
Long
Well, that's
time.
great. Smoking Big Flatty says, "Thank you for your service in the medical field." I agree 100%. And I know that Lisa Haraway and Diane Stone and several ladies that fish these tournaments are in the medical field. And I know you guys have been through a bunch, especially the ones that work on EMTs and emergency rooms and been taking care of these COVID-19 patients and things. Man, my hat's off to all of you. It has really, really been a trying thing. It looks to me like we're kind of seeing the backside of it, and I hope that it ends soon so everybody can, but I'm not sure we'll ever get back to normal as we once knew it.
That's what I was fixing to say. It's going to be different from now on. There's going to be a new normal, I
I
believe.
think so too.
Yep.
I think so too. Well, I can't thank you guys enough for joining the show and being part of it tonight. We're definitely going to have to do it again.
Yes,
Absolutely.
please.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
yep, it was a blast having you on here. Seems like everybody in chat was enjoying it. I know I did and JR did, and we can't thank you enough for being a part of Catfish Weekly.
Thank
We
you.
enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Bye, guys. See you around.
Bye.
Terry and Diane Stone next Monday night. Be sure to tune in for that. I promise you it's going to be a blast. Those two are one of a kind each, and together they are an entity that you will never forget. We're going to have a good time with them. JR, great show tonight.
Great show.
See everybody next Monday.
See ya.